Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. Introduction. Imagine a man standing on a busy city street, holding a sign that reads, "Free money. Today only." He has a bag full of cash, ready to hand it out to anyone who asks. Thousands of people walk by. They read the sign, they see the man, but almost no one stops. One person asks for a quarter for the bus. Another, a businessman in a suit, is offered a handful of cash and replies with a stern, "No," before walking away. Why would people walk away from free money? It sounds crazy, doesn't it? But the answer is simple. Deep down, most of us have a belief, learned from a young age, that free money doesn't exist. And that belief is so powerful that it can make an opportunity that's right in front of our eyes completely invisible. We see the sign, but we don't see the truth. We see a trick, a joke, or a threat, anything but the reality of what's being offered. This simple story holds the key to one of the most mysterious and difficult challenges in the world, the stock market. And it's the core of a book that has become a quiet legend among the world's best traders, a book called Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. For decades, traders believed that the secret to making a fortune was knowing more than everyone else. They studied charts, read financial reports, and built complex mathematical models, all in an attempt to predict the future. But as Mark Douglas discovered through his own painful failures, success in trading has almost nothing to do with predicting the market. The real secret lies in mastering the one thing you can control, your own mind. In this journey today, I'm going to share with you the profound wisdom of Mark Douglas. We're going to uncover why the smartest people often fail the hardest in the markets, and why the skills that make you successful in school, in your career, and in life, can be the very things that lead to your downfall as a trader. By the end of our time together, you will understand the 5 fundamental truths that allow the greatest traders to operate without fear, and you'll be given a practical, step-by-step method to begin building the unshakable confidence of a professional. This isn't just about trading, it's about a new way of thinking that can change how you approach every challenge in your life. Book summary. Have you ever wondered why trading looks so simple, yet feels so impossible? You look at a chart, and the pattern seems obvious. The market is going up, you say to yourself. And sure enough, it does. You watch it climb, calculating all the money you could have made, kicking yourself for not taking the leap. There's a massive gap, isn't there? A gap between what we know we should do and what we actually do in the heat of the moment. Mark Douglas calls this the psychological gap, and it's the reason why an estimated 95% of traders lose all their money and quit. Douglas himself was one of them. He started his career with confidence, thinking his success in other fields would translate easily into trading. Instead, within 9 months, he had lost nearly everything he owned. But that failure became his greatest gift. It forced him to ask a question that would define his life's work. If success isn't about better analysis, then what is it? He discovered the answer wasn't in the market. It was in the mind. The most successful traders, he realized, don't have a crystal ball. They don't know what's going to happen next. What they have is a unique mindset. They think differently from everyone else. And that is the skill we are here to understand today. Let's start with a simple, but powerful paradox. Trading is inherently risky. No trade has a guaranteed outcome. So, if you place a trade, you must be a risk taker, right? It sounds logical. But Douglas argues that this is where the first, and biggest, mistake is made. Just because you are taking a risk doesn't mean you have accepted the risk. Think about that for a moment. Accepting the risk means being completely at peace with the fact that you could be wrong and lose money. It means there's no emotional discomfort, no fear, no hesitation. The best traders can enter a trade without a second thought, and if it doesn't work, they can exit it with a loss just as easily, without the slightest bit of emotional pain. For them, a loss is not a personal failure, it's just the cost of doing business, like a restaurant owner buying ingredients. But for the rest of us, what are the two things we fear most in life? Being wrong and losing money. Trading forces us to confront both of these fears with every single decision we make. And our natural instinct is to avoid that pain. And here is the cruel irony. The more you try to avoid being wrong or losing money, the more you will do things that guarantee you will be wrong and lose money. Your fear will act like a filter on your perception. If you're afraid of losing, you'll hesitate, waiting for the perfect moment that never comes. You'll miss the trade, and then watch in agony as it moves without you. Or, if you're in a losing trade, your fear of being wrong will cause you to bend your rules. You'll tell yourself, it's going to come back. You'll hold on, hoping, while a small, manageable loss snowballs into a devastating one. Your fear literally makes you blind to what the market is telling you. It narrows your focus to only the information that confirms what you want to happen, while blocking out everything else. Have you ever gotten out of a bad trade and suddenly, with perfect clarity, you see exactly what you should have done? You think, I knew that. Why didn't I do it? It's because in that moment, you were afraid. Fear was driving your decisions, not objective reality. This leads us to the heart of the problem. Where does this fear come from? Mark Douglas tells a beautiful, simple story to explain this. Imagine a very young child who sees a dog for the first time. The child is filled with pure curiosity. He has no beliefs about dogs, no memories. He just sees a new, interesting creature and is compelled to experience it. But let's say this particular dog is mean, and it bites the child. The experience is intensely painful, both physically and emotionally. In his mind, a memory is now formed. But it's not just a memory, it's a memory charged with negative energy, the energy of pain and terror. Now, what happens the next time this child sees a dog? It doesn't matter if this new dog is the friendliest, gentlest creature on the planet. The moment the child sees it, his mind automatically, unconsciously, links this new dog with the memory of the one that bit him. The negative energy from that past experience floods his body, and he feels fear. His mind then makes another instantaneous leap. It projects that feeling of fear onto the dog in front of him. So, he doesn't just feel afraid, he perceives a dangerous dog. From his perspective, the threat is real. It's coming from the dog. He has no idea that the fear is being generated entirely from within his own mind. This is precisely what happens to us as traders. Your first few losing trades are like that first dog bite. They create memories charged with the negative energy of pain, anger, and betrayal. From that point on, every time you see a new opportunity, a new trade, your mind automatically links it to the pain of your past losses. You look at the chart, and the market gives you a clear signal to buy. But you don't see an opportunity. You see a threat. You feel the fear of your last loss, and you project that fear onto the current trade. You hesitate. The market moves without you. You feel regret. That regret adds more negative energy to the pile, making it even harder to pull the trigger the next time. You have fallen into the trap. You start to believe that the solution is to learn more about the market. You think, if I just find a better indicator, a better system, I can avoid the pain of losing. So you go on a quest for certainty. You spend years searching for a holy grail that will tell you, without a doubt, what's going to happen next. But this quest, Douglas warns, is a black hole. It leads to ultimate frustration. Because no matter how much you learn, you will never know what will happen next. The market can do anything at any moment. Why? Because the market is made of people, a collection of individual traders, all acting on their own beliefs about the future. It only takes one trader, somewhere in the world, with a different belief and enough conviction to negate your perfect analysis and turn your sure thing into a loser. Douglas tells the story of a brilliant market analyst he coached. This analyst was hired by a brokerage firm and was asked to teach the firm's semi-retired chairman, a veteran floor trader, about technical analysis. One day, the analyst pointed to a price on his chart and declared with absolute certainty, "This is the low of the day. The market will stop here and reverse." The old chairman chuckled. "That's bullshit," he said. He picked up the phone, called the trading pit, and said, "Sell 2 million bushels of soybeans at the market." Instantly, the market plunged, blowing right through the analyst's guaranteed support level. The chairman turned to the horrified analyst and said calmly, "Now, where did you say the market was going to stop? If I can do that, anyone can." This is the hard, cold reality of trading. At its core, the outcome of any single trade is uncertain. So, if we can't find certainty in the market, where do we find it? This brings us to the great turning point in the book, and in a trader's journey. We must stop looking for certainty outside of ourselves and start creating it on the inside. We must learn to think in probabilities. What does that mean? Let's look at a casino. A casino owner has no idea whether the next spin of the roulette wheel or the next hand of blackjack will be a winner or a loser. The outcome of each individual event is completely random. Yet, at the end of the year, the casino is guaranteed to make a profit. How? Because they have an edge. The rules of the game are set up so that, over thousands of hands, they have a small statistical advantage, say, a 4.5% edge in blackjack. They don't focus on the random outcome of each individual hand. They know that if they just keep facilitating the game, their edge will play out over time and they will make money. They operate with two layers of belief that seem contradictory. At the micro level, they believe the outcome of any single event is unpredictable and random. At the macro level, they believe the outcome over a large series of events is certain and predictable. This, right here, is the mindset of a successful trader. You must become the casino, not the gambler. Your trading system, your edge, is like the casino's rules. It doesn't guarantee you'll win on the next trade. It just puts the odds slightly in your favor over a series of trades. You may know that your system is profitable 60% of the time over the next 100 trades. But you have no idea what the sequence of wins and losses will be. You could have 10 losses in a row, and it would mean nothing about the 11th trade. Each trade is a unique, independent event. Just like a coin toss. If you flip a coin and get heads 10 times in a row, what are the odds of getting tails on the 11th flip? It's still 50-50. The coin doesn't remember the last 10 flips. And the market doesn't remember your last 10 trades. When you truly accept this, everything changes. You stop trying to predict the outcome of the next trade. You stop needing to be right. A losing trade no longer feels like a personal failure. It's just one flip of the coin, one spin of the wheel. It's a necessary part of the process that gets you closer to your next winner. When you stop trying to be right, your fear disappears. And when your fear disappears, you can finally see the market clearly, for what it is, a continuous stream of opportunities, with probable, not certain, outcomes. So how do we get there? How do we rewire our brains to think this way, especially when our past pain is screaming at us to be afraid? Douglas proposes we must consciously adopt 5 fundamental truths about trading, and integrate them so deeply that they become the core of our identity. The first truth: anything can happen. We've already seen why. It only takes one person to change everything. When you truly believe this, you will never again be surprised or feel betrayed by the market. The second truth: you don't need to know what is going to happen next to make money. This is the casino mindset. If you have an edge that works over time, you don't need to predict the outcome of any single trade. You just need to execute your edge flawlessly over a large sample size. The third truth: there is a random distribution between wins and losses for any given set of variables that define an edge. This means you can't know which trades will be winners and which will be losers. So you stop trying to pick and choose. You take every single trade that fits your edge. If you don't, you are destroying the statistical advantage your edge provides. The fourth truth: an edge is nothing more than an indication of a higher probability of one thing happening over another. An edge is not a guarantee. It's a statistical advantage, and nothing more. When you believe this, you stop looking for sure things. And the fifth, most important truth: every moment in the market is unique. The pattern you see today may look exactly like one you saw last week, but the traders creating that pattern are different. The underlying forces are different. Therefore, the outcome is not tied to the past. When you believe every moment is unique, your mind stops trying to associate the present opportunity with past pain or pleasure. It allows you to stay objective, in the now-moment opportunity flow. Adopting these truths isn't an intellectual exercise. It's a process of transformation. It's like the story Douglas tells about his own journey to become a runner. When he first started, he could barely run 50 yards. His mind was flooded with conflicting thoughts, 1,000 reasons not to do it. But he had a clear goal: to run 5 miles. He made a simple rule for himself: every time he went out, he had to run at least one step farther than the last time. He didn't fight the conflicting thoughts. He acknowledged them, and then gently redirected his focus back to his goal. Every time he took one more step, he was adding a little bit of energy to a new belief: I am a runner. And he was drawing energy away from the old beliefs that said, I can't do this. Eventually, the struggle disappeared. The conflicting thoughts faded away, because the belief I am a runner had become a dominant part of his identity. He no longer needed discipline to run. It had become effortless, a natural expression of who he was. This is the path of the trader. Douglas calls it the mechanical stage. You must create a trading regime for yourself with a defined edge, a fixed risk, and a plan for taking profits. And then you commit to taking a sample size of at least 20 trades, following your rules flawlessly, no matter what. The purpose of this exercise isn't to make money. It's to build a new identity. Every time you follow your rules, every time you predefine your risk, every time you take a loss without hesitation, every time you take a trade that fits your edge even though you're scared, you are adding energy to the belief, I am a consistent trader. You are training yourself, one trade at a time, to trust your edge, to trust your rules, and most importantly, to trust yourself. You are proving to yourself that you can operate in an environment of complete uncertainty and still come out ahead. The path is simple, but it is not easy. It requires you to want consistency more than you want to be right, more than you want the thrill of a big win, and more than you want to avoid the pain of a small loss. It requires you to let go of who you are, to become who you want to be. When you do this, something magical happens. The constant struggle in your mind ceases. The market no longer feels like an adversary. It becomes your partner, communicating with you in the language of probabilities. You stop trying to get anything from the market and simply make yourself available to take what it offers. And in that state of mind, carefree, objective, and without fear, you enter what athletes call the zone. You are no longer thinking. You are just doing. You are in sync with the flow of the market, and trading becomes as easy and effortless as it seemed in your dreams. You have, at last, mastered the market by mastering yourself. Commentary. What Mark Douglas achieved with trading in the zone is something quite remarkable. He took an endeavor that seems purely external, about charts, numbers, and news, and revealed it to be an almost entirely internal journey. The lessons in this book are not just for traders. They are for anyone who has ever stood at the edge of uncertainty, paralyzed by fear. The most powerful idea, for me, is the distinction between taking a risk and accepting a risk. We all take risks every day. Starting a new business, asking someone on a date, speaking up in a meeting. But how often do we truly accept the possibility of failure? How often are we completely at peace with the idea that things might not work out the way we hope? Douglas teaches us that our suffering comes not from the failure itself, but from our unfulfilled expectations. We expect the market to make us right. We expect life to be fair. We expect our efforts to be rewarded. When reality doesn't match our expectations, we feel pain, anger, and betrayal. The solution he offers is radical: to systematically neutralize our expectations. To believe so deeply that anything can happen that we are never again surprised. This doesn't mean becoming passive or cynical. It means becoming free. When you stop expecting the world to give you what you want, you are free to see what the world is actually offering. And what it's offering is often far greater than what you were demanding. How can you apply this in your own life, starting today? Here are a few simple thoughts. First, practice the art of self-observation without judgment. The next time you make a small mistake, spill your coffee, forget an appointment, say the wrong thing, notice the voice in your head. Is it harsh? Critical? Forgiving? Just watch it. Don't fight it. Becoming aware of that inner critic is the first step to disarming it. Douglas reminds us that mistakes are not failures, they are signposts, showing us what we need to learn next. Second, define your edge in something outside of trading. An edge is simply a process that gives you a higher probability of success over time. If you want to get fit, your edge might be a simple rule: I will walk for 15 minutes every day, no matter what. The outcome of any single day doesn't matter. Some days will be great, others a struggle. But if you execute your edge consistently over a large enough sample size, say, 30 days, you will get results. You are building an identity, one day at a time. I am a person who takes care of their health. Finally, embrace the uniqueness of every moment. We walk through life with our minds constantly associating the present with the past. We meet a new person and our brain whispers, "They remind me of." We face a new challenge and we think, "This is just like that time when." Douglas teaches us that this is a trap. Every moment is new. Every person is unique. Every challenge is its own event. By consciously reminding yourself of this, you open your mind to perceive the reality of the present, free from the ghosts of the past. That was a summary of Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. We've explored the main highways of his thinking today, but I'll be honest with you, a summary can only ever be a map. The real treasure is found when you walk the path yourself. The true magic happens in the quiet moments of reading, when a particular story or a simple phrase connects with you in a way you didn't expect. This summary is designed to help you decide if this book is worth your time. If anything we've talked about today has struck a chord, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning trading, it's an experience that can genuinely change the way you see yourself, your fears, and the limitless possibilities that wait for you in a world of uncertainty. A link to the book is in the description below. Also, if you found this journey valuable, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It lets me know that this work is making a difference, and it ensures you won't miss our next exploration into another life-changing book. Let's keep growing together.